Up next, on today's Wild West, we'll run with the horses and saddle up for an unforgettable visit to Western Pleasure Guest Ranch. Plus,
it's risque.
Bad girls, silver mining, and a spectacular ride down a famous train route at the center of the universe, historic Wallace, Idaho. It's all next on an Idaho episode of today's Wild West. The Wild West. It's still out there. And we'll show you how to find it. This is today's Wild West. Quitting time at Western Pleasure Guest Ranch outside Sandpoint, Idaho. And the horses are fired up and headed out for their overnight pasture. Fun to watch them run at this beautiful place.
Come on, boys!
Or come trotting in on Sunday evening to meet the week's new guests.
Oh, they look so healthy.
Fun way to meet these new friends who will be our riding partners for the coming week.
The black one is gorgeous.
Part of the family.
I love it. This is my 7th year working here.
At a family ranch.
We've always taken that family approach to everything.
Led by owners Janice and Raleigh Schoonover.
Even with our employees, I tell them when we're interviewing them, I said we don't hire employees, we're adopting family members.
The first family members arrived in this part of the country more than 100 years ago, initially working as loggers. Western Pleasure began as the V-Bar X-Cattle Ranch in 1940.
Grandpa said, okay, we're gonna go start a cattle ranch and we need to have a brand. My dad was 10, and so they started drawing brands, and they drew this V-Bar X in the dirt with their finger, and it stuck. And so we've used that brand ever since.
Grandpa loved Appaloosas, and today those spotted horses make up about 1/3 of the herd. There's my partner for the week.
Yep, that's Dudley.
That first day in the big barn, we all meet our horses for the week.
We don't want to just flop down on the horses. We want to sit down nice and gently.
But first, we get a little horseback 101.
So when you're sitting in the saddle, you want your heels down.
Most of the guests have heard this talk before because most have been here before.
And now we feel like family. We come back and back. Mwah.
Elise started coming to Western Pleasure with her family more than 20 years ago.
Everybody rides. Everybody has a wonderful time and does what they want to do when they want to do it.
I drove up the drive to get in here, and it was all familiar again.
Today, her mother and daughter are among about 15 family members and friends here for the week.
I think this is just an amazing place to come with multiple generations. There's just such a richness of activities, and
We love that. That's our passion, because we are a multi-generational family-ran ranch.
Janice and Raleigh's son Isaac, daughter Danielle, and their families work at the ranch.
There you go.
Grandson Zeke is part of the 7th generation, and this 3-year-old was clearly born to be a cowboy.
Let's go. All right, let's go.
Danielle's in charge of the children's program.
It's really rewarding to watch, especially a child that's never been on a horse, come along and then see what they can do at that horse show. It's pretty neat.
Or at week's end, proud parents look on and cheer as their kids show off what they learned during the week at the Youth Horsemanship Show.
That's definitely the most rewarding part, is seeing those kids kind of blossom. It's fun.
Kids do all kinds of riding here, including the chance to move cows, joining the grown-ups for cattle sorting.
Here we go.
Aim of the game is to cut one cow out of the herd and drive it down to the other end of the arena. It is a challenge, but good fun too, and helps your horsemanship.
it's kind of like that, Diane. Okay, so you have pressure, but I want the pressure to go down into your heel.
Horsemanship is the focus of the optional ranch riding lessons.
There you go.
A chance for some one-on-one time in the arena to get better.
Yep, you're gonna have to blur in his nose a little bit more. Yep, that's it. That's it.
Everything. I mean, I learned everything. It's the first time I got some lessons from since I was, 10.
I just hope that people feel more confident in riding their horse, which also means the horses are happier because they are communicating better.
I'm asking for a turn on the forehand, so I'm going to tip her nose in and disengage her hindquarters and ask her to move around.
16-year-old junior wrangler Taylor Ailport,
Okay, so she's using some left leg there because her horse is resisting.
the local 4-H equitation champion, is the gold standard.
Someday when we all grow up, we'll ride like Taylor.
Taking all kinds of guests down the trail with every level of riding ability takes a special horse.
It's hard to find them. People say, oh, it's just a guest horse, but it's a pretty special horse that makes one.
Isaac and Libby are in charge of the horse program.
They need to be really forgiving and be able to have a lot of different people ride them in a lot of different ways and just have a good personality about it.
Good temperament, something that doesn't get too excited about things.
While temperament is most important, those spotted appies are clearly the family favorite.
Well, it's just near and dear to my heart. The Appaloosa breeding goes all the way back to my grandpa when this was a cattle ranch. It's pretty cool to see the spots and the blankets and all the leopard horses out there. That just kind of makes it extra fun.
Most Western pleasure horses are born and raised right on the ranch, like these two that arrived less than 2 months ago. If all goes well, new horses begin taking guests down the trail when they're 5 years old. Outfitted with a custom John Fallis saddle.
So in a normal saddle, it rigs up and loops around, and you've got a bundle of latigo here. And with this rigging system, it lays flat underneath your leg. And then your stirrups, they hang forward a little bit more.
I mean, the horses are our working partners. We need to keep them happy and comfortable. So that's why we spend the extra money on these custom saddles that fit the horses, and they're more comfortable for the guests as well.
With horse and rider feeling good, you can just sit back and enjoy the view. The 1,300-acre ranch and the accessible surrounding state, federal, and private lands have more miles of trails than you could ever ride. The northern Idaho trails wind through rolling foothills of timber and meadows, with big views of the surrounding mountains, including the famous Schweitzer Mountain Ski Resort, which you can see off in the distance from the saddle. The personable and cheerful wranglers add to the vibe, virtually all of whom have worked here for years.
I just love the fact that it's a family atmosphere. Like, I never feel like I'm less than anybody. I'm not just an employee. I'm part of the family, and I love that they make that known.
With the ranch welcoming only about 20 people at any given time, Western pleasure guests get to feel like they're part of the family too.
I'll never forget it. I went to a dude ranch when I was 14, and now I'm 76, and this is just truly amazing. Yeah, I'm glad I was here. Huh?
While horses are the main focus, there are other fun and games, like skeet shooting, safely supervised, of course.
So you might bring this, there you go, that's perfect.
More shooting another day with the bow and arrow.
Oh, so when you get ready to draw back, you're gonna do 1 finger above, 2 fingers below. And when you draw back, it's important that you bring your elbow up.
Janice and Raleigh are experts.
Uh-oh! Bullseye right in his chest. See this? It goes below that. It goes right there. Okay.
And someday Zeke will be too. After all, how many kids get to shoot arrows with their grandma? We'll do a little line dancing one evening. And on another, enjoy an outdoor concert on the big lawn from the family band Homespun.
We love your horse.
Zeke brought his pony to the concert.
You know what his name is?
No, what's his name?
Louie.
We're all just here for the potatoes. Everything else is just...
Which followed an outdoor Dutch oven dinner. Another amazing meal of a menu Western Pleasure calls country gourmet, much of it locally produced. Like the steaks we enjoyed at another outdoor cookout.
Made at Woods Meat Processing, my brother's company.
Or the delicious ham served up another evening at the lodge. We gather in the big log lodge for most meals.
Most of our grapes from Washington State. We get a little bit from Idaho as well.
And one afternoon, a little wine tasting as well. The lodge is rustic and Western, featuring my kind of decorating. I stayed in one of the lodge rooms upstairs, the very cool John Wayne room. There are also big, beautiful cabins to accommodate all kinds of families and groups.
We'll have lunch there at the falls.
Back at the lodge for breakfast, Janice updates us on the day's activities, which today includes a ride to Grouse Creek Falls.
There's a couple of spots you can stand right here.
Okay. Grouse Creek Falls is a very invigorating series of falls, pools, and cliffs. Pretty fun to take the plunge. Well, we're getting a full Western Pleasure experience here.
Yeah, you are. The water's not too bad temperature.
Oh, it's nice.
So just keep your lay back, let the water flow you.
Back at the ranch, back in the saddle, we're off on another adventure to Bonnie Hole, where Janice's ancestors first homesteaded back in 1918. Not much left here today, a pile of scraps where a cabin once stood, and the remains of a very old vehicle. But the spirit of those enterprising pioneers lives on today at Western Pleasure, a guest ranch that began by offering trail rides back in 1991.
A gal was asking if there was horseback rides anywhere. So I said, well, hey, I'll take you horseback riding. She's like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful, this is so beautiful. And it just sparked that idea.
Cabins were built, then the big lodge, and the rest is history. The full guest season at the ranch runs from June through the end of September, but Western Pleasure is open all year round, and the ranch is especially busy during the winter with sleigh rides.
We do a lot of sleigh rides in the wintertime.
And people coming in and having hot chocolate and cider and sitting by the fire. And
those sleighs run down the trails we ride in the summer.
Well, this is our tradition here at Western Pleasure Guest Ranch, to have a scavenger hunt.
So gorgeous out here.
Searching for, among other things,
It had babies in it 2 weeks ago.
a feather, a four-leaf clover, and a frog. Got a frog. Plus a stop for target shooting with a BB gun, a bow and arrow, and a horseback cornhole.
Ooh.
Sucks to lose, doesn't it?
Oh, whatever. This is your first time winning.
I know.
Wow.
It's really all about the Wranglers, but you guys just get to play along with their game.
It's all just part of the fun.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Married the year they graduated from high school, Janice and Raleigh have deep family roots here.
I can't imagine doing anything else.
I can't either.
Yeah.
Yeah. See you in a bit.
With kids and grandkids who clearly love this life as much as they do. And it's a safe bet those Western Pleasure horses will be putting on this summer evening show for generations to come.
It's like walking back in time.
Just ahead, a historic mining town with a colorful past.
It was fascinating.
That's become a Western summer destination.
Yeah, we're on our first date in Idaho.
It's a summer Saturday night in Wallace, Idaho.
Beautiful place. I love the mountains, the scenery, the river coming through. I love all the old historic stuff. It's great.
Big crowds are in town for the Wallace Music Festival.
We come to this festival every year, and we love it.
It's just picturesque, and it's like walking back in time. It's like living in a Norman Rockwell painting.
But Norman Rockwell never painted one of the star attractions of this picturesque and historic mining town, the Bordellos that once thrived here.
It's risque.
One of which lives on today is a very popular museum.
It was fascinating.
The Oasis didn't shut down until 1988, when one day the women left and never came back.
There's a lot of 1800 style Bordellos museums. There's nothing like ours.
This is the staircase where the clients would go upstairs to meet the ladies. We're not allowed to show you the rooms where they worked, but they look exactly like they did on the day they left back in 1988. There were rumors of an FBI raid that never happened.
They were told they were going to be back to work in a couple days. So everything that's up in the rooms is just what the girls left up there.
Pam Grenny is an Oasis tour guide.
Oh, I love everything about it. I love sharing the history of this building. I love to share the history of Wallace itself and meeting great people from all over the world.
So how'd you like the tour?
It was great, yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool just because it's exactly how the ladies left it.
While we can't show you the rooms, we can show you the women who worked here many years ago. And even though prostitution was against the law, the Wallace police photographed and registered the women when they hired on at the Oasis. Ladies not quite as glamorous as the mannequin models in the museum's ground floor gift shop.
It was a way to just make sure who was coming to town. They could not be residents here. They didn't live here. They stayed here. They stayed and worked in the same rooms while they were here. They could have days off, but they had to do it outside of Shoshone County. They were not allowed to walk around town, hang out at the restaurants and bars, and pretty much if it looked like solicitation, that was a no-no.
Half a dozen women worked here in crews that rotated through every 2 weeks under the supervision of a madam known as Ginger.
From about 1962 till 1988. And she died 2007, and she's buried in the Catholic cemetery.
They didn't look at their life like it was tragic. And of course, for some, it probably was.
Founded in 1884, destroyed by fire in 1890, and rebuilt of brick, Wallace lies in the heart of Silver Valley, home of the richest silver strike in the world.
I'd move here in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. I love the buildings, the architecture, the people are fabulous.
The entire town of Wallace is listed on the National Register of Historic Places, a designation city leaders initiated to save the town from Interstate 90, which the federal government wanted to build right through the middle of Wallace.
The locals are very concerned because they knew it would effectively destroy our architectural heritage. And so it worked. Feds came back with a bulldozer ready to plow, and they said, sorry, the rules have changed about where the highway would go.
I've always been interested in this town for the fact that you just drive through it. It's just simple. Like, how do you drive over it? You don't do that anywhere else in this area. It's kind of just a bizarre little place.
Legendary local businessman and philanthropist Harry Magnuson led the fight to save Wallace. A plaque commemorates his efforts outside the historic train station the government moved when it built an elevated Interstate 90 bypassing town. And the street where the freeway was to have been built is named in Harry's honor, where what was once the last stoplight between Seattle and Boston still blinks.
Well, we came for the music festival, but the history here is just fantastic. I love weird stuff like that. So.
But also the center of the universe, what? A block away? Off center in the center of the street.
Most towns would be like, oh, here's the center of the universe.
Yeah.
It's right here. Come look at the center of the universe. We've got a plaque and everything, and they just put a manhole cover that's not centered, and then none of the signs actually point to it. So it's like the detail work on all the absurdities here are fantastic.
So the EPA has a rule of probability that says if something cannot be proven to exist, it could just as well exist. So they determined that Wallace, Idaho must be the center of the universe because you can't prove it is not. So every September we have a commemoration and people get married there, people get divorced there, anything to make a party in Wallace, Idaho.
A 1991 FBI raid put an end to one party that, like the Bordellos, Wallace had hosted forever, illegal gambling.
And my suspicion, and looking into this and talking to people, my belief is that the FBI raid was a payback for holding up the highway for 17 years.
Photographs of this town's colorful history are displayed at the Bernard Stockbridge Museum. And you can get a first-hand look at the mining history that gave birth to Wallace at the Sierra Silver Mine Tour.
That's how we get the rock out now.
A fascinating real-life look at the underground hard rock mining of the Silver Valley, where underground mining was once conducted.
This is pretty much what you would have witnessed.
By candlelight.
And that's how he would drill his holes to blast. So they started to bring canaries in and put
and canaries were used to monitor oxygen supplies.
When the canaries stopped chirping, they knew they had to get out because they were running out of air. And sadly, the reason the canaries stopped, it had already ran out of air.
Modern equipment and ventilation have long since made underground mining much safer and easier.
Kind of fun once you get there.
Silver mining continues in the area to this very day. But back in the day, labor battles between miners and their corporate bosses exploded into violence. 6 men were killed and a mining facility blown up during one battle in 1892.
Mine companies, they brought in the Pinkerton Security Service to guard the mines. So a gunfight broke up our canyon in a mill, the Frisco Mill, where they grind up the mine rocks out of the mine from big pieces into smaller pieces. There were 6 miners shooting out at the Pinkertons on the outside. Pinkertons rolled in a rail car dynamite, blew up the Frisco Mill.
It was payback 7 years later when miners commandeered a train and dynamited another mining mill.
They unload a giant pile of dynamite, blow up the Bunker Hill zinc plant, a giant facility. The next day, President McKinley declared martial law in the Silver Valley.
Just a few years later, though, all was apparently well, as Wallace welcomed a visit from President Teddy Roosevelt in 1903.
This fire was burning at 55 miles an hour.
More trouble in 1910, when Wallace barely escaped complete destruction.
In 2 weeks, it burned 3 million acres.
In the Big Burn, the worst wildfire in U.S. history.
By the grace of God, there was a wind shift, and the sparks blew over town and hit on the east side of town, burned some railroad buildings down, and just kept going.
Today, though, that surrounding forest, with its hundreds of miles of trails, is providing a new treasure for Wallace: tourism, including a gem left behind by a great railroad of the past. We'll take you on that adventure just ahead. The Milwaukee Road's Hiawatha line was one of America's finest railroads. Today, the tracks are gone, but its route through the Bitterroot Mountains is known as the crown jewel of America's rails-to-trails bike trails. East of Wallace, I rented a bike, helmet, and a very important flashlight at the Lookout Pass Ski Resort. A short drive down I-90, I'm at the trailhead, getting a few pointers from Trin. It's an awesome trail, I hear.
It really is. It's very beautiful. You're going to be going through 9 tunnels and going over 7 trestles.
Have a good one. The ride begins with the 1.66 mile St. Paul Pass Tunnel. It runs under the Montana-Idaho border, where it's always 44 degrees, very dark, and very muddy. So just got out of the tunnel. Kind of muddy riding in there. But hey, today's Wild West, right? The temps in the 80s as soon as you emerge from the tunnel into the sunshine of a beautiful summer afternoon. The scenery is spectacular and the pedaling easy. It's all very slightly downhill. A trail anyone who can ride a bike can handle, from young children to grandparents. You guys having fun?
Yeah, you?
Oh, yeah. Nice family thing, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, we're taking a little break on the road to change glasses. Can't wear sunglasses in that tunnel, and we're getting ready to go back into a tunnel. And it's a short one. The 15-mile trail takes you through 9 train tunnels. Trestles are awesome. And across 7 spectacular trestles carved through a vast wilderness.
I love it. Because look where you get to be.
Majestic.
The trestles. And, you know, really anyone can do this because it's all downhill or flat. And very few things, I think, where you get this much outdoor fun and exposure without a lot of work, if any work, really.
Right.
Deanette Wells is a world-class climber, athlete, and author of Another Step Up the Mountain.
Filming you, filming me.
Today she's biking the trail as part of a 35-year reunion with some longtime friends. Have you been out here before?
No, it's our first time.
First time.
What do you think?
I think it's an awesome ride. I'm going to do it again.
Do you agree?
I do.
All right.
Yeah, very cool. Lots of history on this trail, with interesting and informative placards telling the story of the glamorous and powerful trains that once rolled through here. And as you roll through on your bike, you're not alone in the wilderness.
They'll put us at different parts of the trail to help people. And then also every time we go down the trail, we help people with like flat tires, first aid, just bike problems in general.
Malibu Mama's made it!
Time flies when you're having fun, and in just a couple hours, the journey is over.
We did it, the Hiawatha Trail!
At least the first part.
What's not to like?
Yeah, you're outside in the sun enjoying the day.
It's downhill.
Yeah, it's downhill. That too. Yeah. Well, you can turn around right back.
No.
Your bike goes in a trailer. You go in a bus.
How's the ride?
It was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Absolutely.
Do you guys want me to talk about history on the way up or no? Sure.
Yes.
Where a cheerful driver narrates the 30-minute ride back to almost where you started, near the exit of that first St. Paul Pass tunnel.
(1909).
Hop on your bike, pedal an easy 1.66 miles in the dark,
And we're out. The ride is over.
And you're back where you started. Quite a day.
Tell people if you haven't done it anywhere in the area, you're missing out.
If you live anywhere, you're missing out.
This is true. But we had people today from France, Italy, and New Zealand. So that tells you people come a long ways to see the route of the Hiawatha.
So we're back where we started, and my bike and I are one muddy mess. I'm still a horse guy, but I have to admit, that bike ride is one awesome adventure. That's it for now. We're back next time with more cool stuff from today's Wild West. I'm Mark Bedore. We'll see you down the trail. For more information on the people and places featured in today's Wild West, or to order show DVDs and books, visit todayswildwest.com. Funding for Today's Wild West provided by the Leggett Foundation, the Atherton Foundation, and the Chuck Wagon Trail Riders Foundation.